Hi, I'm Geo-Institute Director Brad Keelor. The fact that you're seeing me all by myself at the start of the episode means that it's time again for a special Director's Cut message. And that in turn must mean that we're near a milestone episode and that there's a contest happening. Both of those things are correct. Episode 150 of Director's Cut is coming up at the end of November, and we are thrilled to have geo-legend Ed Idris of UC Davis as our guest. Just as we did for episode 100 with Jim Mitchell, we're running a contest to have the viewers, you, ask Ed a question. It can be anything about his life and career. Submit your questions at the link in the show notes below where you're watching this now, and we'll announce a winner during the 150th episode on November 29th. The winner will receive 1 year of ASCE membership for free, either as a new membership or as a renewal. Good luck, and we're all looking forward to the 150th episode. But first, make sure to enjoy this week's show. Thanks for watching. I am Brad Keelor. She is Pegah Ghasemi. Coming up next on Director's Cut, hear how she got to use what is, in my opinion, the coolest research facility in the United States, the Flumes at Oregon State. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Director's Cut. My name is Brad Keelor. I'm the director of the Geo-Institute, and that is why we call this show Director's Cut. Every single week, except during the summer and 1 week at the holidays, I sit down with a different GI member who has all kinds of stories to tell. Some are personal, some are professional, but all of them, 100% are fun. If you don't know anything about the Geo-Institute, after you watch this interview today, because we do not want you to be distracted now, you should go over to geoinstitute.org, and there you will find out that we are a technical society with about 12,000 members, most of whom are geotechnical engineers and or geologists, and that we are part of the American Society of Civil Engineers. And if you like what you see today, and we're like 147 episodes into this show, you should like it. Viewers, you should click like, subscribe, and get notifications, and we will let you know every time we post something to the YouTube channel. Coming to us all the way from Raleigh, North Carolina, where she is a postdoctoral researcher at North Carolina State University. It's Pegah Ghasemi. Pegah, welcome and thank you for doing this.
Hi, Brad. Thank you for having me.
And I'm not biased towards the people at NC State or anything, but it's been too long since we've had somebody from NC State on. And I did not intentionally wear these colors today, but it sure worked out nicely, didn't it? We have 10 questions for you, the same way that we have for everybody every week. And 2 of them are the same. And we start with one of those. Describe your job in 45 seconds.
I'm a postdoctoral researcher here at NC State. I do both teaching and research. I've been teaching statics and soil mechanics to undergrad students. And my research focuses on contributing to resilience and sustainability of infrastructure. I've been working on several projects. The most recent one is studying the interaction between MICP and vegetation and the effect that those two have on integrity of the structures. So MICP actually is microbially induced carbonate precipitation. So we have this bacteria in the soil stimulated or augmented, and then when we feed them with nutrients and when add calcium as a result of some biological reactions, we can have calcium carbonate precipitated between the soil particles that increases the shear strength, shear modulus, and improves the mechanical properties of soil.
We are going to talk a little bit more about that as we get further into the interview, but I have to ask you a follow-up question here. You're still pretty new to teaching. What was it like to be at the front of that classroom for the first time and do that? Is it intimidating? Did you feel like you were born ready for that or what?
So the first class that I was fully responsible for the entire thing. So designing the material, taking the exam, and teaching the entire class. That one was static. I taught a couple of other courses, but that was partly. So I taught foundation design, but it was like 6, 7 sessions. But the statics was I was wholly responsible for that class. The class was the number of students was about 92-ish. The first day was really intimidating, but as I went into it and I started it, it became really fun. And I think the other course that I'm teaching right now, soil mechanics, because that's more related to my focus of my research or my expertise. I think that one is more, I'm more comfortable with it, or maybe it's because of the time and experience.
But you can show no weakness, right? Because a lot of those students are going to watch this and they're going to be like, "Oh, Dr. Ghasemi, I got her. She's not afraid up there." You got to project confidence, yeah? We have a lot of really, just the most serious questions that you can ask somebody in the world are part of Director's Cut. We're going to get to one of those right now. It's getting cold outside. It's been really cold in the DC area the last couple of days. The argument is on at my house about what temperature to put the heat at. So, Pegah, what temperature do you keep the heat on in the fall and winter?
So at home, it's at least 70 degrees. But in the office, we have this internal cooling and heating system, so we don't have a lot of control on it. At least I cannot change my office temperature. So for that, I have a backup plan. So I have a jacket and blanket just for office, so I can use it in cold days.
I'm a fan of the 70. So my trick is I'm the first one up in the morning. So I turn it up and then I make sure that before my wife will know what's going on, it goes back down. But the kids are getting up in the morning. You don't want them to be cold or anything. Now, the office, you guys got to figure out a way to hack that, right? So that you can get around it somehow. That's I wearing a coat. You guys got to figure out how to get into that system. It's got to be digital, right? But so everybody will freeze at NC State if you go down there. I guess that's the lesson.
Oh no.
We're gonna talk about your research again. And we were talking before the interview. In my last job, I did a lot of building research collaborations. And one of the facilities that we got the most questions about in the entire United States, in any discipline, not just engineering, not just civil engineering, literally anything, were the wave tank and the flumes at Oregon State. And you got to do some of your PhD research out there. Tell us what happened.
So as a part of my PhD, so my PhD mostly focuses on transitioning MICP from lab to the field. So aside from lab work, I've done some field work and large scale. And as one of those projects was stabilizing a near prototype dune in Oregon State large wave flume. So to give you an idea of the scale, that flume is really large, and the sand that we stabilized it was about 1,000 cubic meters. And to give you an idea of how much sand that is, it's about 56 dump truck. The size of the project was really large, so we had to design the treatment systems, and then when it was done, the treated area was subjected to waves from the Hurricane Sandy. It was a really unique experience. It was really cool to do that.
One of the best things, of course, about doing any kind of coastal research, and especially with dunes, is that you got to go to the coast and you have to see the dunes in action. So, where's the best place that you've been able to go as part of this?
Oh, um, I can say the Outer Banks uh, is the greatest place to see the dunes, especially Highway 12.
Hmm.
When you drive towards Cape Hatteras, so there are dunes in one side, and it's so in front of those dunes, yeah, you can see ocean. It's like a magical place. I love that place.
That's a great answer. I think most people who live in the Southeast would probably agree with you. Although, everybody's got their favorite spots, but the Outer Banks is really, there's nothing like it in the rest of the country. So that's great. I was trying to think if I'd ever asked anybody this question, and if I have, it's been a long time. So here it comes. What's the last TV show you binged?
Um, there are a couple: Big Bang Theory, The Office, Game of Thrones. If I want to pick one, I probably pick The Big Bang Theory. It's about a couple of scientists or physicists. They're working at Caltech, and the main character, who's played by Jim Parsons, who's playing Sheldon. Uh, he's really funny in his own way. The way he teases the geologist and the geology, that's really funny. And I remember one episode they were fighting over the authorship and whose name comes first. It's really fun to watch.
That's the follow-up question I want to ask because I remember when the show first came on, and it was maybe in the late in the first season or early in the second season, they talked about writing an NSF proposal in one of the episodes. And I think, when you're in the scientific or engineering community and you see something like this in the media, I think you're waiting for Hollywood to screw it up, to say something that's not accurate or whatever. But the consultants they had on this show were incredible. And when, you hear these conversations about proposal writing, in that case, I was like, wow, they got this exactly right.
Yes.
Did you ever have a moment like that where you were just blown away by the amount of preparation they must have done on that show?
Oh yeah, no, so that NSF project. No, so there was one project they wanted to do research in North Pole, and then there was a NSF project, and I think the university decided to send out different people, so to collaborate. That was that was really fun to watch. And Sheldon said, "I introduced you guys. I wanted you guys to come with me." So the collaborative nature of the proposal or the academic word that they put it into the story of the show, that was really funny to watch. And then they had this project. They it was funded by the army, and that one was also really fun to watch. Yeah.
But still really accurate in a lot of
Yeah.
cases, like frighteningly accurate,
Yeah.
I think. So that's a good one to choose. One of the things I do when I do my homework before I do these interviews is go to somebody's LinkedIn page. That's always where I start, right? And then I've got a whole bunch of other stuff that I do. On your LinkedIn page, it says that you competed in the National Chemistry Olympiad. And I think a lot of people didn't have this experience in school. I had friends that were in Odyssey of the Mind and similar kinds of competitions. But again, that was all in the US. Yours was in Iran. Can you talk about your experience in the National Chemistry Olympiad? What was it like?
So it was in high school, and actually the Olympiads are quite a big deal for high school students there. So I remember there were a bunch of us. So the last year of the high school, the school gave us this opportunity to stay home or participate in the classes they had just for chemistry. So we could go study chemistry for about a month and not attend the school and do the school works maybe later after after the exam was done. It was really fun. At that time I loved studying chemistry. It was kind of our obsession. We had very good teachers who were encouraging us to do that. Yeah, it was really fun, and we ended up to get into the semifinal. At least I was like that, and yeah, I remember very good things from that time.
What's the competition like when you move farther on? I mean, you said you got to the semifinals. It must be pretty intense.
Yeah, it was. It was a 5 hours competition, just answering questions about the chemistry. And then after the semifinal, they choose a very limited number of people, like 40-ish. And then from those, they decide who goes to the international competition. So like 4 people. Yeah, it's really competitive.
Wow. But it also sounds like a great time. And I also have to ask you, because the research that you do, like when you look at geotech kind of as a whole, the work that you do is probably closer to chemistry than just about anything else that somebody's working on. Do you feel like working, being so active in chemistry as a high school kid, do you feel like it really shaped where you've gone with your research career?
Yeah, I think the chemistry part of my research, the biology, I can trace it back to that time. The reason why I get into this focus or this research area, that might probably goes back to that time.
Oh, that's fantastic. I like that. And that's great that you've been able to stick with something for that long, because as you know, there are a lot of people who just completely change everything, either in undergrad or grad school or even further on than that. So that's amazing. So the other question we ask everybody when they come on the show is, how did you first get involved with ASCE and then GI?
So my first exposure to GI was through our student chapter here at NC State. And then the next year, I got to participate in Geo-Congress 2019. It was in Philadelphia. When I was there for the first time, it felt like a community, like a family gathering each year. It really felt really good to have such community. And then the next years, I became the secretary and then president of the student chapter, and then participated in student competitions, GeoVideo and GeoPrediction. And here we are.
That's awesome. So for the Philadelphia conference, I mean, well, 2 things. One, we do like to call Geo-Congress the family reunion, and that's why you experienced it firsthand. When you went that first time, who was the person that you saw that you couldn't believe you were in the same conference or in the same room with? Were there any like geo legends that you saw that you were like, I can't believe that I'm here with them?
Actually, a lot of people. I knew a lot of people from back in my country. So we know who are the big names in your field. But when I got there and I was seeing everyone in person, it was really interesting. One thing that I can say, it's really recent, and it's from LA, the Geo-Congress 2023. When I first saw Carlos Santamarina, I was like, oh my God, I saw my biggest celebrity. I took a picture with him. I was so happy.
Oh, that's great. And Carlos will love that. I hope he's watching this to hear it. Yeah, because he came back from being in Saudi Arabia for so long, right?
Yeah.
That was his first Geo Congress in a long time. That's a good answer. I like that. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the grad student organization in a minute here. But first, we got another one of those fun questions. This is one I love to figure out, or to try to figure out how people's brains work when they come on this show. And so I had to ask a question like this. So when you encounter something new, whether it's a new term or a new topic or research area that's up and coming, what's the first thing that you try to do to try to learn more about it?
Um, I think the first thing that I try to uh, learn about it is that what are the implications of this term or this method? How can I use this for different applications? So, for example, the other day, I was talking to a microbiology PhD student, and she was talking about her research. And suddenly, my mind goes into how we can integrate her research to my recent project and come up with new things to solve the problem.
That's a really good answer. And you led me to another follow-up question here, because I think one of the things that's tough, not just in academia, this happens in industry too, is that people like to stay within their little world. But the reality is that's not how a lot of big advances are made in research or in practice for that matter. And it doesn't matter what topic. What do you think we could do to make people have those conversations like the one you had the other day with the microbiology student? Like, how do we get to that point where people are doing that?
Maybe interdisciplinary conferences are a great place to meet people from different disciplines. Um, yeah, I think diversifying the focus of the conferences will be really effective, and that's the only thing that I can come up with it now. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't give you any time to prepare for that one. That's the beauty of director's cut, though. So we have to talk about the GSO, the Graduate Student Organization, the GI group at NC State. You guys are fantastic. We're super proud of you guys. You're one of our favorites. You're one of the best GSOs. I wouldn't just be saying that to any GSO that was on here right now. You guys are really active and you do a ton. What is the secret for everybody out there to having an active GSO or a GI student group?
We have a very good geotech group here. So I feel like that a collaborative, encouraging atmosphere here helps a lot. So, and I think if someone starts to do something like student competitions, actually, out of 4 student competitions, we are active in 3 of them, and hopefully this year we're encouraging undergrad students to participate in GeoWalk. We don't want to jinx it, but I think it's happening this year.
Nobody's designing a shirt. You could do the shirt too.
Yeah, we can encourage students to do that too. Yeah. So I feel like when someone starts to do that, the others really encourage them, and that person also encourages the next generations of the students. I think that encouragement and that positive attitude toward one another, and having that feeling that this is a tradition for our school, this should continue. That really is effective.
What about, I mean, obviously it's important, but what about faculty support for the GSO? Because, I mean, like you just said, that there are always students coming and going, right? But the faculty members are the ones who are kind of always there at the head of it. Can you talk about what it's meant to have the support of the faculty at NC State for you guys?
Yeah, we have very good faculty members here, and whenever they actually encourage students to participate in those competitions, and actually introduce us to such opportunities. So I remember they were saying, okay, one of the students did that last year. You should try it this year. They're very encouraging.
That's amazing. And so for all the viewers out there, you can always find the NC State GSO and its members at Geo-Congress, usually in the competitions, like Pegah was saying. So I don't think this year in Vancouver is going to be any exception. And if you have never seen the student competitions, viewers, you need to. This is something that you need to make happen, and we'll put a link down to some information about it in the show notes below where you're watching this right now. We have 2 questions left. I wish I could say they were both serious. I don't think I can say that about this first one. If aliens came to Earth, where do you think they would go first and why?
Probably the pyramids, because some people think that pyramids was built by the aliens. They probably want to go check what they built.
This never even occurred to me. And when you said that this was your answer, I was like, that's so logical. Of course, that's where they would go first. I mean, but I think it's also a very engineering-y answer, right? Because, of course, they would want to go to some big structure. And I guess, I mean, I didn't think about that. Like, if you came from somewhere outside Earth and arrived here, what would you want to look at to learn about the culture? And I guess it would be the stuff that we've built, right? You could probably put, like, I don't know, any structures in there with it. That's a really good answer. I like that one a lot. Do you know where do you think they would go second? Did you have anything for that?
I have suggestions. So they can go to DC. Very,
I like that.
very beautiful city. Good food, good architecture, great cultural the locations, and probably New York, Times Square.
I have to say, though, I like that you chose Washington, D.C. before New York. For all of our viewers in New York, I'm not even going to apologize for that one, because I feel like as a longtime resident of the Washington, D.C. area, that makes me very happy. I like that a lot. The final question we have to ask is about the Collingwood Prize. You and Brina Montoya, one of the faculty at NC State, are the 2023 winners. This is one of ASCE's oldest awards. I had to go check. The first time it was given out was 1895. So this was the 129th time, I guess, that it's been awarded. How excited were you to win the Collingwood Prize?
I was really happy. I wasn't sure. I actually was so happy that I get to get this prize, because I saw, when I was scrolling down the previous winners, I saw some big names, and I was so happy that the civil engineering community is actually approving my work, or think that my work was also that award caliber, and I was really happy with my research.
That's great. And you're right. There were some big names from the geotech world on that list. George Goebel, we saw, John Schmertman, Mike Duncan, Wayne Clough, just to name a few. That's a fantastic list. I also wanted to point out, I said this to you before we started recording, there have been like millions of ASCE members throughout history, and only like 130 have won this award. So that is super cool, and congratulations to you and Brina for that. Pegah, you made it through all 10 questions. You did a great job. We had a lot of fun. We learned a lot about you. For our viewers, if you liked what you saw, and I always say you're here at the end, so you probably did, you should click like, subscribe, and get notifications, and we will always let you know every time we post something to the YouTube channel. Pegah, thank you for doing this.
Thank you for having me. It was really fun.
Every week, that's our goal, is to have fun. I think we always get there in the end, but it feels like we do, so that's good. And for all the viewers out there, just a couple more weeks remain until the 150th episode of Director's Cut with Ed Idris. Make sure you submit your questions and enter to win a free year of ASCE membership. And of course, we will see you next week with a brand new episode of Director's Cut.
Na, na, na.